I'm Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm, We Sell Restaurants, over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
We are on your radio once a week with the leading authorities in this industry talking about subjects trending in the restaurant business. Tweet your own questions on the topic while we are on the air to our Twitter handle, Sell Restaurants, or post them on our Facebook page, facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. If we don't get to your question, we'll follow up on social media.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. If you have ideas for our shows or comments, email me. My email address is Eric, E-R-I-C, at WeSellRestaurants.com. For today's show, we're talking about franchise organization that service the restaurant industry.
We are joined by two distinguished guests who are executive members of prominent associations. Our guests will be discussing organizations that every restaurant owner should be aware of. We'll talk about networking, training, and resources offered to restaurants to assist in their growth and success. In addition, we'll cover those associations that lead the industry with education, meetings, and resources to power your success as an operator. First off, joining us today is Mr. Steve Caldeira. Steve is the president and CEO of the International Franchise Association, the world's oldest and largest organization representing the franchise industry. Headquartered in Washington, D.C., IFA works to protect, enhance, and promote the U.S. franchise industry, which consists of 825 U.S. franchise businesses, creating nearly 18 million jobs to $1.1 trillion of economic activity annually. Mr. Caldeira has 30 years of government relations, political communications, fundraising, and professional development experience. Before joining IFA in June 2010, Mr. Caldeira served as the Executive Vice President of Global Communications and Chief Public Affairs Officer for Dunkin' Brands, Inc., the $8 billion parent company of Dunkin' Donuts and Baskin-Robbins. Steve, thank you for joining us today.
Great to be with you guys. Thank you so much.
And we are also joined today by Dave McDougall. Dave is the current president and chief executive officer of Backyard Burgers, Incorporated, a better burger restaurant company based in Nashville, Tennessee. The brand has been in business since 1987, operating 81 company and franchise restaurants in 15 states. Dave's background includes over 30 years of food service and franchise experience in both quick and full service, specializing in operations, trainings, and international businesses. He most recently served as the senior vice president of QSR operations for NextSend Franchise Management, a multi-brand franchise company based in Atlanta, Georgia. Brands under this leadership included Marble Slab Creamery, Maggie Moose, Treatery, Pretzel Time, Pretzel Maker, and Great American Cookies. With over 1,200 locations in 11 countries and growing responsibilities include franchise operation, supply chain, training, and international development. He's a recent recipient of the prestigious Certified Franchise Executive designation, the CFE, and he's an active member of the International Franchise Association, where he is an advisor to the Professional Athlete Franchise Initiative. He's also the membership chair for the Southeast Franchise Forum. Dave, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, Eric. Look forward to it.
Okay, so as a franchisor, we're going to kick this off by saying, with full disclosure, we're a member of both the International Franchise Association and the Southeast Franchise Forum. We have had excellent experiences with both groups. So I want to start this off, Steve, by asking you to tell us a little bit about the IFA. For restaurateurs listening that may not be familiar, what are some of the benefits offered to members? In other words, why should a new or established franchise, like a franchise restaurant group, be a member of the IFA?
I appreciate the question, Robin. And we've been around since 1960. We were founded by Bill Rosenberg and a couple other enlightened leaders back then. Bill was the founder of Dunkin' Donuts, as we all know. And our mission, quite simply, is to protect, promote, and enhance this great industry that consists of job creators. You just gave the statistics. You know, we're scheduled to grow this year a little bit better than the U.S. economy overall. We'll add 153,000 new jobs this year based on nearly 2% growth. We'll add about 11,000 establishments based on 1.4% growth. And we'll grow to about a 4% clip in terms of economic output. And overall, we represent 3.4% of all U.S. GDP. So increasingly, we continue to grow as an industry. We're not at pre-recession levels, but we're still slogging through, as you guys know, a very sluggish, uneven, tepid, uneven economic recovery. And of course, here in Washington, the land of partisan rhetoric, negative rancor, and perpetual gridlock, there are many public policy issues giving us headwinds that would really, unleash growth. And so we're working hard at the federal level. It's all about advocacy. We have a very proactive media relations and public relations component that gives us the air cover to get our messages out, not just here inside the Beltway, but in 50 state capitals around the country. Dedicated federal and state government relations team, and of course the professional development and educational aspect through our educational foundation, where we do a whole vast array of industry research that helps to support our efforts on the Hill and around the country on the great economic impact of franchising. And our job is to also get out there and say, this particular bill may not be good for small businesses, and here's why, or this particular bill may be good for small businesses, including the franchise industry, and here's why. So we have, to top that off and to close the loop here, we have a certified franchise executive program, which adds professionalism to executives in our industry. We have many programs, if you get on franchise.org, that help the emerging franchisor, the prospective and existing franchisee. We're supported by nearly 700 supplier partners. So we are an organization that has grown in revenue 45% over the last 3 years. Our PAC, Political Action Committee, has grown 71% over the last 3 years. And our membership levels across franchisor, franchisee, and suppliers have never been higher. So despite the economic and public policy challenges we have, we continue to grow as an industry. We continue to mobilize because we know what's at stake in terms of protecting the industry and enabling rather than stifling growth, which has been what we've been working through 2.5 years of the Obama administration.
Steve, that's amazing. I just don't know when you sleep during that time. So you guys seem to be very, very busy taking care of a lot of initiative that, the restaurateurs and little guys don't have the time to deal with, but you guys are taking upon you to be the big brother to watch out for the small guy, basically.
Well, exactly. I mean, if we can't protect the franchise model, there's been a whole promulgation of state legislative activity, and we can't get it right in terms of advocacy, whether it's taxes, whether it's trying to mitigate some of the more onerous, costly, burdensome aspects of the Affordable Care Act, which is anything but affordable. Again, another program that stifles growth as opposed to enables growth. And of course, there's a big debate going on here in a filibuster by Senator Ted Cruz in Washington, a Republican from Texas. But net, it's the law, so our job is, to try to nip around the edges, try to get that definition of a full-time employee from 30 in the law up to 40. We were successful in repealing the 1099 reporting requirements, which would have been a nightmare, quagmire for small business owners. And of course, we lobbied the White House and the administration and several government agencies to give us a 1-year delay in terms of the employer mandate, which would give our folks more time to prepare. But it's here, and as long as it's here, my job, our job, again, is to make this as easy as possible in terms of implementation choices, giving our folks the information they need. Just yesterday, Dave and I were speaking earlier, we sent out a mass email to our membership about a new pamphlet we've created about the health care law called Take Care, and it explains about the law and the things that employers need to think about, both at the C Corp level and the past two entities, our franchisees, in terms of all the provisions that are in it, what they need to do to think about complying. So we're very busy here in Washington.
Great. Dave, tell us a little bit more about, or tell us about the Southeast Franchise Forum. I know it's kind of a similar vein, but tell us a lot of differences. Steve did a good job telling us what they do in Washington. Tell us a bit more in the Southeast. What are some of the value and benefit that restaurant operators could see from Southeast Franchise Forum?
Certainly, Eric. The Southeast Franchise Forum is a regional organization that was established to foster professional relationships throughout the franchise community and to enhance the reputation of franchising through the exchange of information, ideas, and solutions. We have over 90 members, a combination of distinguished franchisors, franchisees, and suppliers. And we do work very closely and have a good relationship with the IFA. We model a number of our meetings and formats after the things that the IFA does. With relation to really kind of the crux of our mission is we meet monthly. Those meetings are either a breakfast meeting or a luncheon meeting. I should note our luncheon meetings are also considered the part of the Franchise Business Network, which is sponsored through the IFA, and those we have 4 luncheons through the course of the year. But what's a little different with us is it's really all about networking and being able to foster those professional relationships between whether it's franchisor to franchisor or to franchisee, and then also we have a very high quality group of suppliers that we're able to leverage. And each of our meetings really has a specific topic or theme, whether it's around the Affordable Care Act, access to financing, and then we'll get local specialists to come in and speak to our membership regarding those things. And I know personally, as a franchisor, it's been a very helpful group to be able to not only make connections, but try to find answers to common problems that come up in business and help get solutions.
And Steve, I know that actually Dave just talked a bit about networking, and we've experienced that with the IFA as well. So in addition to what sort of the umbrella organization is doing in terms of advocacy for the franchisor, there's also multiple opportunities for that mentor-mentee development to happen amongst the ranks of franchisors who are gathered together quite frequently within the IFA umbrella. Tell us a little bit about what those opportunities are.
Oh, sure. Well, first and foremost, we just finished our legislative fly-in here in Washington, our public affairs conference. We had 325,000 business owners take the Hill. But to get direct to your point, we have our annual convention in February. We do Vegas every other year. We were in Vegas this past February at the MGM Grand. Record attendance, 3,600 people. We'll be at the Hilton New Orleans Riverside this upcoming February 14. So, anywhere from 32 to 35, 3,600 people on average every year now. So that is a combination of people that are already in the industry, people that are looking to get into the industry and want to learn more. We have top-notch speakers. We've had virtually every former president there is. We had Secretary Condoleezza Rice last year. We've had Guy Kawasaki, the former CMO of Microsoft. We have big folks that come in and talk about, leadership and business issues. We also have franchise development seminars we do around the country. We have our South Coast Expo. We do our West Coast Expo, Southeast down in Miami, the International in New York City, and West Coast in Anaheim. So 3 opportunities there, two regional seminars and conferences and networking programs, breakouts, keynote speakers. So we're out there, pretty much every month. We also have, franchise business networks like the great one we have down in, we partner with our friends at the Southeast Forum in Atlanta, but strong franchise business networks in Denver, Dallas, Minneapolis, just to name a few. So we are out there trying to provide the venues, the opportunities to learn, to network, and to give back, and hopefully you take some nuggets away to help you grow your business or get into business. So that's what we're all about: professional development, education, opportunities to network, separate from advocacy and all the PR to promote and enhance the industry.
That's great. And you also have an actual designation that can be earned, and I believe that we actually said in the launch of the show that Dave actually has the Certified Franchise Executive designation. So over a number of different courses that are attended as part of these meetings, someone can gain the education to actually have an industry designation that's well known. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, it adds and I'll let Dave chime in as well, but from my point of view, we've now got over 1,300 CFEs. It adds a level of professionalism. It really teaches you all aspects of the franchise industry that are transferable among all the segments in our industry. We have 10 major business segments, over 300 business lines, but really it teaches you the basic fundamentals of franchising, the do's and don'ts. It's really a franchising 101, but take it up a couple of notches. But it's turnkey, it's informative, and we continue to get folks more excited about the program. So we've now got partnerships with the Philippines, down in Australia with our counterparts there. So we continue to grow internationally. So it's also become a revenue stream to the organization. But more importantly, it is extending the professionalism of franchising around the globe. And I'm a part of the World Franchise Council. And think of the United Nations for franchising. We meet twice a year. It was just a meeting in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So where my counterparts get together, we talk about all the things that are pertinent to franchising in our own countries. We share, we learn, we network, and go over best practices. So we're continuing to look for the things that are going to really make this industry stronger and enhance the professionalism of it. To your point and Dave's point, CFE is just one of those great programs we have.
You know, that's an excellent tweet. I'll definitely send out something that says, you know, there's the equivalent of a United Nations for franchising out there.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dave, will you weigh in on that topic then? You've gone through this education program. How long did it take you, and what were the results?
Well, Robin, actually, I've been a CFE. I'm going into my 5th year. It took me about 3 years to complete the required coursework, get the credit to get it initially, and then I've done my first renewal, which was completed last year, which is some ongoing continuing education just to, refine your skills and stay current. But the thing with the CFE, and I've been a big promoter of it, I've had a number of my direct reports that have gone through and gotten their CFEs now, is that it really does a number of things. One is it gets you to really think about the franchise model and how the franchise format works. It always, for me, it is a great business model if done correctly. And, I think for us, to have that education, another key is just the many, many experts within specific disciplines in franchising, whether it be legal, development, finance, operations, that you get exposed to, the networking. And then, more importantly, is best practices. You just learn a lot. And the thing for me that was very enlightening is just how free and easy people were to talk to you about their business and to be able to share some of the challenges that are experienced on a day-to-day basis, as a franchisor, as a franchisee, and to have discussions on maybe ways they tackled similar issues. And I found that made, honestly, some lifelong friends through the process, too.
That's great. And since Steve just took us pretty much around the world here in 45 seconds, Dave, I want to ask you, since you've been focused a lot in the Southeast, to take us around the Southeast. In the last 5 years, do you see any particular trends among the brands in the South versus nationwide trends that we see in the restaurant franchising?
Well, the thing that we've seen, and Steve can probably speak to this also, that, the Southeast tends to have what I consider a little more business-friendly climate. Franchising continues to thrive with new emerging franchisors, with some very well-established franchisors in the Southeast. The thing about the Southeast Franchise Forum is it does tend to focus more on local issues, some regional issues that do impact small business. But I still continue to see a pretty favorable response for people who are looking at the franchise model and wanting to get into business for themselves. And, from the franchisor community, that franchisors have continued to remain pretty optimistic, albeit in a relatively difficult business climate. And that's what, just from talking to people out on the West Coast, up in the Northeast, Upper Midwest, the Southeast, I think, has enjoyed, that level of optimism that things continue to move forward.
That's actually very good input. You're looking at this on a national scale. Would you agree, Steve, with that call out about maybe the Southeast being a bit more business friendly?
Well, sure. If you look at where we are dealing with state legislation, it's California. Look at the economy in California. It's Rhode Island. Look at the economy in Rhode Island. It's Maine and Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. These are not hotbeds of job creation right now. Yes, those states that are going to be more pro-business are going to attract more growth. It's just the fact, and that's what's been happening. And so that's why some states are doing much better than a lot of other states. And Georgia clearly is one that gets it for the most part around what it takes to create jobs and economic output, and that broadens the tax base, right, and creates more revenue for the state. In terms of trends, healthcare segment continues to grow on a nationwide level. If we think about, we've got 10,000 baby boomers hitting 65 every day, so the need for in-home companion care, healthcare, that continues to grow. Obviously, the real estate market is much better than it was 3, 4, 5 years ago as we went into the recession. We're still working through the recovery. So we're seeing some growth there. I read this morning, I think, in the Wall Street Journal, tapering off a bit. I think if you looked at the growth just in San Francisco, it was 2.7% in June, dropped to 2.2% in July. So in some of the bigger cities, you're starting to see more stabilization in terms of housing growth, but it's in a much better place than it used to be. And then, in terms of business services, commercial residential services, they rank in the top 3 in terms of franchise employment growth and the number of establishments. And then as it relates to quick service restaurants, it's the largest franchise business line. It's going to rank second in terms of growth of economic output, and we'll see growth in new businesses that's slightly better than the overall franchise sector average. So that's what we see at a national level. Look, we're growing in every category, anywhere from 3.3% all the way up to 8.1% in terms of so the low 3% in automotive, the high 8.1% real estate. You got quick service restaurants growing at about a 5% clip. So look, it's not bad news. It's not great news. We could be doing more. Again, it goes back to the economic and public policy headwinds that are coming out here out of Washington. It's an increased regulatory environment. So we're trying to navigate through that.
And doing an excellent job, I have to say. Well, we're just about up against a break, so I want to remind everyone to stay tuned. This is We Sell Restaurants. Eric and Robin Gagnon, we're the restaurant brokers. Our sponsors for this hour include today's restaurant, the food service industry newspaper. Stay with us after the break. We'll be right back with more news and information on the benefits of joining a franchise organization like the International Franchise Association or Southeast Franchise Forum. We are the restaurant brokers, and this is We Sell Restaurants.